Sébastien Ogier returns to the championship for the first time since Monte Carlo and set fastest time at this morning's Shakedown. Elfyn Evans is hunting a repeat of his 2023 Croatia Rally victory. He was second quickest this morning. Then it was Thierry Neuville, first non-Toyota, third quickest on the 3.65 kilometre shakedown stage. Thierry shared that third fastest time with Hyundai teammate Ott Tänak, the Estonian looking for a change in fortune after a tricky start to the season. Adrien Fourmeau heads the M Sport charge, fifth fastest at Shakedown, the Frenchman chasing a third podium on the bounce. Andreas Mikkelsen, the first driver to complete 4 runs at Shakedown this morning. He comes into Croatia off the back of an Alba Rally win in Italy last weekend.
Til høyre på lapp, til en 50, bokskort 5 venstre, dobbeltkort 5 høyre sekund, tørrkort 4 venstre. Til 40 line, dobbeltkort 5 høyre, over mål, 20 kort 5 venstre, minus. Åpner halvlang.
Takamoto Katsuta showed stunning form at the last all-asphalt round of the championship in Japan last year. He finished 7th at Shakedown this morning. The last of our Rally 1 runners, Gregoire Munster, the M Sport driver looking for a trouble-free weekend here in Croatia.
Et pique à gauche 35 dur glisse d'air, à droite 26 frein ultra et plonge droite 30 points.
Welcome to Zagreb and welcome to round 4 of the World Rally Championship, and welcome to Simon Hughes.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here.
Is it?
It is. It's always a pleasure, David.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Simon is a former British Championship competitor and somebody who's competed on this very rally.
Yes, a few years ago now, back in 2005. It was part of a national championship we were competing in at the time. But same stages, same challenges, and yeah, it is nothing really changed. It's always tricky. The roads are tricky, the weather's tricky, and it's what these guys have got to look forward to this weekend.
Which puts you in a really good position to tell us a little bit about Shakedown this morning. Ogier fastest, Evans, Thierry. It's looking like Toyota's continuing its dominance of Croatia.
It does, and I think Thierry made an interesting point when we spoke to him, is even though Toyota have dominated this event, he's led every time he's been here. He's just not managed to get it to the end for various reasons, car problems for a couple of years, and also the mistake he made last year. Elvin came very close to winning the year before last and then managed to carry that over last year for the victory. I think Ogier maybe will struggle with his road position, but yeah, he obviously has the speed, which he showed this morning.
I think it's exactly that. If you were to pick the 2 or 3 tarmac drivers in the championship, it would be obviously Thierry, Belgian, growing up in Belgium. Elvin, somebody who's always gone well on changeable grip in tarmac. And Ogier, who just goes well everywhere. Yeah,
and I think as well, you can't forget Tanak. He's got a point to prove after a bad start to the season, and finishing second here last year. So he'll maybe take a slightly more measured approach and hope to be there at the end. But I think that is needed a little bit this weekend with the changeable conditions. Rain forecast on Saturday as well. So,
I mean, let's not forget, coming into this event, there was actually snow on the recce. So a couple of weeks ago, 20, 25 degrees here, really warm. There's been a big shift in the weather. It is now really changeable. We are, like you say, expecting a lot of rain on Saturday. If it does, it really will change these roads, won't it?
Yeah, this is a really unique surface, the tarmac over here. It's slippery when it's dry, so you can imagine even the smallest bit of rain makes a huge difference. And a couple of the drivers have mentioned that if you are on the wrong tyre at the wrong time, it makes a huge difference. It's not like some of the events that are slightly more abrasive or consistent grip levels, you can minimise the loss if you're on the wrong tyre, whereas here it really does affect you.
It does, and our brilliant cameraman Elliot did make the point as well that should we be looking at Takamoto Katsuta, who had a stunning run in Japan in really changeable conditions, we put exactly that point to Jari Matti.
What I see here with Taka is that he's not necessarily as comfortable the conditions, road conditions over here, what he is in Japan. I think in the difference here is that even though in Japan when the grip level is changing, it's more predictable. I think here it's more unpredictable because the surface is changing more when it gets wet, and that's what I felt that Taka is not necessarily as feeling the same comfortable what he's feeling in Japan.
As always, Jari Matti makes a very, very good point, and it's exactly what you said, Simon, that the conditions are in Japan. They were consistently inconsistent. When the rain came, the grip level was still consistent. It was consistently lower.
I think one of the big differences here as well compared to Japan is there's more cutting. Japan, they have sort of these drains and the curbs pretty much most of the stages. Whereas here, even just from the few roads we've driven, you can see there is massive gravel sections on the side of the road which will be cut. The first few drivers will be in there, and very quickly the road deteriorates. And I think the point Taka was trying to make was, if you come around a corner here and there's mud and gravel and everything else, that's what sort of worries him. That's where he finds it hard to take a risk.
Yeah, and the man in the best position to take advantage of those road conditions is the man first on the road, Thierry Neuville.
I don't need to take a bigger cut. I just need to take cuts, and that's what I will do for sure. Everybody in my position would do that. But I mean, if there's a risk of taking a puncture or whatever, and if you don't have tested it in recce, definitely not. Generally, the places where we cut, everybody else is cutting as well, but it's a way of cutting. In the slower corners, you can put the car a bit more sideways, a bit more throttle, and it makes a difference.
Great honesty there from Thierry, and kind of what you expect. There's an advantage to be taken. He's going to take it.
Exactly, and he'd be daft not to. He's going to put the car where he thinks is best for him. He did say,
and worse for everybody else.
True. Yeah, he did say he won't take risks. He'll only cut where you need to cut. But yeah, if there's a fraction of a second to be made up, he'll do everything he can to take it.
Yeah, and M Sport, Adrian Formeau leading the M Sport charge into this event. He's done well here in the past. Okay, we saw that whoopsie in 2022 where he put the Puma off on, I think, the third stage. Year before that, really strong World Rally Car debut.
It was, and fastest times in his WRC debut in the top level car. We never quite saw that level from him again. He's come back reinvigorated this year, and the start to the season he's had, he's definitely hoping for. You'd almost expect at least podium times and hopefully be there at the finish.
Absolutely, and obviously Gregoire Munster in the second car. Greg's somebody who's grown up in Luxembourg, competed a lot in Belgium. He will be used to these kind of conditions, so potentially very strong lineup for M Sport here, and they've got a bit more aero. We'll talk to Rich Milner through the weekend about exactly the difference that makes to the car. Johan Rossell will lead the WRC2 charge here. It's going to be a fascinating fight, as ever, in that category. Johan comes here off the back of a win in Monte Carlo. This is only his second outing of the season. It is going to be, in his own words, a mini Monty here with the changeable conditions. Obviously, we'll be keeping a very keen eye on WRC2. Now, what have we got coming up? Across the next 3 days, there are 20 stages. It is the shortest competitive itinerary of the season so far. 283 kilometres, 175 miles of stages, but some of probably, if that weather comes and it's very cloudy, some of those difficult.
Yeah, definitely. The drivers spoke about their sort of roller coaster style stages, and the cars are alive, which is great if you have consistency and grip. You throw rain and mud and gravel into that, and it does make it a real challenging event.
We have to ask, give us your top three.
I'm going to go for Elvin to win. He won last year, came so close the year before. I think Thierry maybe second, and Seb Ogier in third.
Yeah, I would like to go with Ogier for the win. It'll be a great story, but I think it's going to be beyond him, so I'm actually not going to put Ogier on the podium. I'm going with Thierry Neuville ending Toyota's dominance of this event. Thierry Neuville to win, Elvin second, and I'm going with Oyt Tanak third. You know exactly where to stay across the next 3 days. Dirtfish.com. Stay tuned.